I was used to being a VIP. I'm a legend in 4 states. I'm a bitter black man. I really feel if I was Herschell Turner and white, I'd be rich today. I have talent and abilities that are not being used simply because of color. That's not saying I necessarily want to be rich. It's an indictment against prejudice. At 10 years old, I received an art scholarship to a prestigious art school in Indianapolis. I've always been an artist, starting with drawing with a pencil. For over 40 years, I've used primarily pastels, a special technique I'm not about to share. People have been asking me that question for years. School was never easy for me, as I was bused to Shortridge High School. Crosstown rival was Oscar Robertson. College wasn't much different. As the first black athlete ever recruited to play basketball at Nebraska, I was all Big 8 after being snubbed similar accolades in high school. Racism and I walked a fine line. Within my first or second day at Nebraska, I was called to the president of the university's office. After much congratulations, he whispers, "You leave those white girls alone now, you hear me?" There were no black girls on campus in the 50s. I am fortunate to have my family. I'm the youngest of 6 kids, and my siblings paved the path for me. I met the love of my life early in life. She was my high school sweetheart, and still is. My best creations ever, my 2 daughters. That foundation helped me during tough times. Wilt Chamberlain was at University of Kansas then. They knocked us out of the 57 championship and went on to lose themselves. The art classes, I couldn't relate to Picasso and others like that. I was finally introduced to some black artists and really took an interest in the Buffalo Soldiers. Mostly I painted icons. Athletes like Muhammad Ali, Magic Johnson, Joe Dumas, Isaiah. Or entertainers, musicians, Cosby, Ray Charles, Tina Turner, Chaka Khan, even Clapton. Herschell Turner's paintings reflect a depth of emotion seemingly impossible to ignore, and reflect the period in which he grew up, sharing the stage with many of his favorite athletes, activists, musicians, comedians, and entertainers, often offering them a quick sketch or doing their portrait from a photo. He called himself a cover photo artist. Yet historical icons are his favorite subjects, and he wishes he could have painted Eric Dyson, the author and professor at Vanderbilt University. I love Eric Dyson. I think our young people need to see him in portrait. His views on former President Trump reflect that of many African Americans. It's a scary feeling to think that Trump was almost reelected. Herschell Turner, who had ridiculous talents, artistically and athletically, is now blind. The progression was slow, over 4 or more years. When asked if he finds another way to creatively express himself, like he's done his whole life, he admits, "With my attitude right now, it won't let me do anything creative." Herschell Turner was not only an athlete and artist, he was an equally powerful advocate for youth and his community, only recently slowing down, teaching art to not only our youth, but prisoners as well. Herschell gave more to his community, more than anyone can ask. Although he is no longer able to teach, his powerful work will continue to speak the history lessons for years to come. Enjoy his view on the world from 1940 to now. The history lessons are plentiful.
How is everybody today? It's a great video, wasn't it, about a great artist? How many people here have been familiar with Mr. Turner's work prior to today? A couple? Great. Well, I only asked that because before I was asked to be the host today, I didn't know much about Mr. Turner as well. So I had to do a little deep level dive to find out more about the prolific artist, athlete, advocate, and activist. And we're going to find out a little bit more about that so that the onus isn't all on me. Luckily, there's a gentleman that we know that has known Mr. Turner for over 45 years. Please, ladies and gentlemen, give a round of applause to Mr. Larry Harper. Mr. Harper, it's so nice that you join us today.
Thank you,
to let us know a little bit more about your good friend, Mr. Turner's work. So could you start by giving the audience a little context to maybe how you met Mr. Turner and some of the information about how you guys began this long 45-year friendship?
Well, I'll tell you, I will never forget when I met Herschell. I was probably about 12 years old, sitting by a basketball court in Grand Rapids where all the giants came to play basketball. The guys that you knew were good basketball players. They were professional college, high school players. Okay. And I was just a young kid desiring to one day be a good basketball player.
Okay, and were you, did you play basketball?
I did play basketball, but not as good as Herschell.
Right.
So one thing that I learned early on was that Herschell had great command. And I always wondered, as I was watching the games on that court, how does that one guy control the game every single time? Because rarely would Herschell's team lose on the hard court. Rarely. So
they really did have, quote, game, right?
Yeah, they had game. Herschell really had game. And he always controlled the flow of the game. And the question for me as a young guy watching him play, boy, that mean guy just controls the whole court.
So then after you all became acquainted through this basketball and playing, did you also join him at Nebraska?
No.
Okay.
No, Herschell was well past Nebraska when I met him. He was actually playing professional basketball in Grand Rapids.
Oh, wow, okay.
So the pickup at Franklin Park, as it was called then, was an opportunity for him to stay in shape, to play against other guys, and just fine-tune his game. But it was still
have a little fun.
Yeah, and have a little fun. But it was still pretty serious basketball. I mean, you had some guys that when they stepped on the court, they wanted to win. It didn't matter whether it was for $0 or a lot of dollars.
Oh, sure. You had to have street cred.
Absolutely.
You had to have some street cred. And so did he start to relate to you about how maybe the athleticism served to help his artistry?
Actually, the time that I met Herschell formally was after I was out of college, and I actually went to work with him at Baxter Community Center.
Okay.
Where he was the executive director, and this was after his basketball career was over.
So he utilized some of the gain that he made in basketball playing to start a foundation.
Well, he actually was hired to run a community center right in the heart of Grand Rapids. And that community center was an advocate for the disadvantaged within the community. Everything from adult-based education to daycare, recreation, tax preparation, a dental clinic. It was an all-encompassing community center, and it was an incredible place during this era, which was the mid-'70s, 73 to 77.
So, and I know that Mr. Turner was also really using his art to express some of the angst and some of the process by which he would look up to idols through this difficult time in American history. So some of the inspiration, from what I'm understanding, and the topics that he painted served to speak to his process.
Herschell's always been a very introspective person. He always has a keen sense of what's going on around him, the times, and the canvas became a way for him to express the things that he saw. in society. He began to capture figures. He began to capture images. He began to capture icons very early. But he'd been an artist since he was a child.
So now this is something that I remember asking you a little bit earlier, but so during this process, I remember you said that Mr. Turner was lucky enough early on to get a number of commissions for artwork. But did you ever get the opportunity to see him as a work in progress?
Never. Herschell, in fact, I commissioned several pieces from Herschell, but I never saw the piece until it was finished. Because he had his own style. He was a very serious artist, and irrespective of the subject, he was going to spend time to make sure that he got it right.
Right. And so there's also through the center that he did a lot of advocacy in the community. Is that right?
Very much so. Herschell was probably number one. He was a mentor. But he understood what was going on in our community as our community, began to evolve, as racial relations got better, as people were trying to make social and cultural change in the community. And he was very much a driver of that change because he was never afraid to challenge the status quo. He had the difficult conversations with brothers of all color about how we could move the community forward. So he was very much an advocate in that respect.
So he would teach at the center as well?
He taught every day. He taught through every interface with anybody that walked through Baxter, he taught. And Herschell was one that would always go into the gym and be ready to play basketball with the young guys, go into the daycare to see what the kids were doing in there. But he was always very, very involved in the operation of that community center.
Well, so now, did you get a chance to go and see Mr. Turner play when he was playing with the Harlem Globetrotters?
No.
Or some of the other games that he played, or were you relegated to the time that you all were younger?
I was relegated to the younger days, and at that time I was not paying to watch professional basketball, nor did I really follow the Harlem Globetrotters. But later on in life, after professional ball, I had the opportunity to actually play basketball with Herschell,
okay,
which was a tremendous treat because I found out just how funny he was.
That was something that I wanted to ask. I mean, with all of these serious topics, with all of the process that you all, as young people going through the time that basically civil rights was maturing or coming to the fore in America, it must have been, I mean, we see very heady, very serious icons, Nelson Mandela, poet laureate Maya Angelou, and so forth and so on. So, I mean, I was wondering if there were lighter times that you were able to share. I'm sure a little trash talking on the basketball court.
He had a great sense of humor. And Herschell would, he's always watching the floor of the game. And he used the basketball court as a way to transfer ideals and concepts to young people. So every now and then you'd see a guy that would try to approach the basket and he'd get his shot blocked. and Herschell would look at the guy and say, "You didn't say may I?" Or it might be a guy that missed 5 or 6 jump shots in a row. And he'd look at him and say, "I know what's wrong." The guy said, "What?" He said, "You didn't hold your mouth right." but that's just typical Herschell humor.
Well, it's really interesting to have known someone with such a varied, I know all of us are multifaceted, but to observe as a good friend this arc of legacy and work with this advocacy as an athlete, and that, could you point to a period of time in your association with Mr. Turner that you would look at as most inspirational to you?
I would say probably from '74 to the early '80s, when we spent a lot of time not only working in the community center, but I had the opportunity to travel around the Midwest as he was doing art shows and purveying his art. And it was just a tremendous educational experience. Number one, everyone knew him,
Right.
And he had such a great relationship with people. He was charismatic, just a great guy. We developed a very close friendship from the time we spent on the road and the time we spent working together. And on a daily basis, I got to play one-on-one with Herschell in the gym.
And maybe get a little school.
And get a little schooling. I learned a lot. My game improved immensely. In fact, it was incredible because the janitor, who was an older guy, very seasoned gentleman, would come down and say, "You can't beat him." I said, "No," but I said, "I'll get better trying."
Right. I'm going to increase my game.
Absolutely.
Through the exposure. So, as a result of this long-standing friendship as well, would you say that there is a particular piece or a particular idea that he was conveying through one of the pieces of art that it might stand out as most inspirational to you or your favorite?
Well, my favorite piece is the Nigerian aspirin.
Because?
Because number one, when I went to Mexico on an assignment, he gifted me a print of that rendition. But he later sold that original piece, and I bought it. So I have two of them in my house.
Oh, wow. Well, from very different perspectives, I guess. One that was a gift, and the other one that
I wanted to have the original.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. Speaking of that, since we know that Mr. Turner is probably not painting much more, and that we see that these prints here are significant because, if I'm understanding correctly, these are the only prints that are available on canvas this way, that have been rendered, in a collection like this that's not from a commission, but in a collection. Would you speak to that?
Yeah, there's a series of works that have been digitized to make sure that they're here in perpetuity. I mean, so his work will never lose the essence of it. There's some additional artistic work that we want to do the same thing with, because he's captured so many subjects on canvas. He's captured so many people, so many icons, and I think that they will live on forever by ability to put them on files.
Excellent. And just before we culminate this interview, are there any questions from the members of the audience that you might have for Mr. Harper with regard to Mr. Turner's work? Anyone? Fair enough.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Enjoy the paintings. Take a look at them. I think you'll gain a true appreciation for them.
Hello, my name is Corey Steiner, and I have the pleasure of representing the new owners of the Collective Sedona. We want to thank everyone for coming out to view the Herschell Turner exhibit, and most especially for supporting the Sedona Arts Academy. Our vision for the Collective Sedona is to foster a place that is welcoming to all, serves the community, and is representative of the art, culture, and beauty that attracts so many to the area. We look forward to many years of partnership with the greater Sedona community and are delighted to be a small part of this idyllic place.
What we have the joy of today, as a continuation, earlier on, we interviewed the wonderful Mr. Larry Harper. And now we would like to continue in those interviews by introducing to you our next guest on stage, which is Miss Alejandra Richards. Now, I just had the good fortune to meet Alejandra just a bit earlier and to taste some of her delicious offerings today. Now, Alejandra, not stealing your thunder, but what exactly was in that tasty bite?
It's called the cowboy caviar. And the reason why they call it that is because in the 1900s, maybe like 1940 or so, cowboys and people of lower stature couldn't afford to buy caviar.
Right.
So what they did was they added things that married things together that would simulate a caviar and put them together, and the cowboy was the standard for lower living.
Well, there you go. There you go. So I was thinking that it was a little bit of an allegorical approach because I was like saying, oh, the Thai kitchen. So as I approached the dish, I was expecting to get maybe a little kick or something. But it's actually the TIE kitchen. Can you talk to us about how that happened?
Sure. So the Thai kitchen, TIE kitchen, comes about wherein I own a marketing company. And the standard for my company, my brand, is the tie. I wear a tie every single day. I wear them to my meetings. I wear them to I just wear a tie. So everything under that umbrella and in my brand is with a tie. My tie enters the room before me.
Right. Well, and so it's interesting now hearing you, Alejandra, talk. It sounds like there's a little island influence in there somewhere.
There is. My parents are from the island of Barbados.
Okay. So now, and having talked to you prior, I know that you came to Arizona from New York, but talk me through the loop from the islands to New York and now to Arizona? Question mark?
There isn't enough time for everything, but the short road. So I went to high school in the Caribbean, and when I graduated from high school, I graduated a year before I was supposed to, and I went to Montreal on a soccer scholarship. While playing soccer, I also played field hockey and rugby for the island of Barbados because you can have both citizenship because of my mother's status. So after college in Canada, I went to college in New York. And so living in New York, and then I worked for a company that paid for my schooling. And so they moved me with their company to Boston. From Boston, I ended up owning 3 soccer teams, three semi-pro soccer teams between Georgia and Florida. And then I moved to Tucson, and here I am with you and all these lovely people.
Well, and so through that, so did some of it, so where does Alejandra, the chef, start to infuse into? Was it to feed the teams?
No.
And let me guess, did the jerseys have a tie?
No.
Maybe?
No, not at all.
Just questions.
No, I totally get it. So my mom used to literally feed the neighborhood. And so as a kid, I'm the last of a crowd of 11 from both sides.
Wow.
So I didn't have to do anything. I just kind of watched. And my mom took care of everything. And the older siblings, they put in. But my fondest memories for me was always around Christmas time when we all were in the same place. Baking and cooking and just camaraderie. Our Christmases weren't about buying gifts from the store and stuff like that. It was about time spent together. It was about, watching the merriment of your mother, feeding everybody. So
I feel the same way.
Yeah,
yes.
My mom was a minister too, so everybody literally was in our house, whether they belonged to us or not. But when I went to college, when you go to college and you have no money and you're hungry, you learn to cook real fast.
Right.
And after having ramen pretty much every which way known to man, you learn to cook recipes, actual recipes, because nobody wants ramen all the time.
So what you're saying is a part of it is through familial circumstances, and then was there a point when you said, hey, I'm pretty good at this, and decided to make it a little bit more formal?
It didn't come about
between soccer practice?
It didn't really come about quite like that. Believe it or not, this only came about maybe about 3 years ago. So my mom passed 30 years ago this year. And one of the things, I miss her, and I miss her a lot. And when time comes around, it was a really hard time for me. And so one of the things that brings me closer to her and gives me comfort is cooking. So every time I got in a place where my head wasn't right, I found that cooking gave me comfort. It would soothe me, even, just chopping. It brings you the memories of being on the step and being, picking the peas and cutting the lemons, picking the lemons. And, we used to do this thing, my dad used to do this thing called engaging pork. We were just talking about this. We had pig and cow and sheep and my dad would go around all week long and tell everybody what we were going to be killing on Saturday and collect orders. And then on Saturday, divvy up everybody's and take it on. Meanwhile, my mom be sitting on the step, chucking peas and making what we refer to as pudding and sauce.
Right, okay.
So pudding and sauce is you take the pig's feet and you pickle it with cucumber and breadfruit and red peppers and stuff like that. And the sauce, you actually take the intestines of the pig and turn it inside out and fill it again with potato.
Okay.
Okay, so that's what she'd be doing. So the cooking brought me closer to my mom. So I started cooking and just putting pictures online and stuff like that. And everybody's like, you should have a show and you should cook, right? Whatever. All right? Because your friend's always trying to talk you into things that they won't do.
They want to see you rise.
And
they might have tasted some of your tasty bites. And
right. So then we started just cooking and giving it away, basically just giving it away. Here you go, there you go, there you go.
In New York?
No, right here in Tucson.
Oh, right. Okay. So in Tucson is the origins of Thai Kitchen.
Correct.
You didn't really have a formal iteration in New York.
No.
Okay.
So in doing so, I wrote my first cookbook. And how I wrote my first cookbook is that I actually had to take the time to measure everything, because we don't measure anything. We do a pinch of this, a handful of that. Meanwhile, your hand might be bigger than mine,
Flavor to taste.
Flavor to taste. So that's how we started with the first cookbook, and I dedicated that to my mom. And the middle section of the book has recipes from my childhood that my mom used to make. And then it became Baking with Friends, because we did a series of liquored up cakes.
Oh, wow.
So, basically
sounds intoxicating.
It was. The drink you had, the drink you loved, the drink you liked, the drink that you would go out and call and ask for at the bar, we actually put it into a cake.
Sweet.
So what's your favorite drink?
Vodka cranberry.
Okay. So vodka cranberry, and so what we would do, we have a drink called the martini.
Okay.
And it actually has gin in it, and it actually has olives in it, and there's an olive in the middle of the cake. And then we glaze it with the martini, actual drink martini taste in the icing.
Wow, and that's on the menu down at the Thai Kitchen?
That's on the menu down at the Thai Kitchen.
Oh, wait, folks, a caravan to Tucson next Friday or Saturday, right? And so do you have, talk us through just is it a physical space in Tucson?
It's not
Thai
a physical
Kitchen?
space. How the actual cooking and baking and stuff took off is when the pandemic came. Obviously, I couldn't do all the marketing stuff that I would do, which would entail being with clients and being out with numerous people around me and stuff. So we started delivering. We started having non-contact pickup right at the door, and it just took off. We do meal prep. We do cakes, from the cupcake to the big elaborate cakes. We do regular meals. We'll just say, hey, look, this is what we're cooking on Friday, and people will just order and come pick it up from the door.
Catering.
Yes.
Catering online.
Online. We do online classes as well.
Is there a location or an address that you could share with our audience that we could research you? I need some of that cake.
If you go to Facebook, I'm sure everybody's on Facebook. Just look up the Thai, T-I-E, Kitchen.
Okay. And then Chef Alejandra, are you the only person in the kitchen? Or
Oh, no. I have a right hand. She's around here somewhere. Where is she? That's my wife. That's my official quality control and taste tester.
Okay.
And she does most of the icing and stuff on the cakes that we do.
She keeps Tide Kitchen all tied up.
That's right.
Okay.
She's in charge. I'm just the face.
Right. Yeah. Well, and so then we can check you out online. We can check you out at events. What's your favorite dish on the menu? Is there a lean in on something that's really great for you to cook? Something that's a favorite that, say, reminds you of your parent that I would like to so I can sample?
So the most popular cake we have is the rum lemon cake. Clearly, the name says it all. It has rum. It has rum in it, on it, about it, and around it, and lemon, of course. There's also there's a recipe from the Caribbean called a coconut sweet bread, and basically it is what it is. It's a sweet coconut delicacy that comes in a loaf, and it has the dried cherries on top. You can have that for breakfast, lunch, dinner, before you go to bed.
So
you wake up in the morning to go to the bathroom.
So so we can come and pick it up.
Yes.
But do you?
I will ship it to you all the way to Hawaii if you want to.
Wow. So there you have it. We can experience more of the Thai Kitchen's delights right here in Sedona.
Absolutely.
On an order online basis.
Yeah, or you can just call me up when you can inbox me and we can talk. Most of our cakes are made specifically for you, the person. There is no list of things where we go, okay, A, B, C, D. Every month we change what we do. Or if you call me and say, hey, look, I want a specific type of cake, it's made specifically for you. Our cakes are not diet cakes. It has butter, it has cream, okay? And we have clients that show us pictures that as soon as the cake lands, they don't even cut it; they just have a fork in it. So we're excited about what we do. Our cookbooks, people say, why don't you put your cookbooks on Amazon? Listen, I will tell you honestly, just because a book is a bestseller doesn't mean it's read. Okay? And so what we want to impress upon people is that we are happy when we see people actually using our books and making our recipes and sending us pictures and calling us and saying, hey, look, I know you had this step, but I missed it or I didn't get it right. What do I do? You can call me and say that. I'm making X, Y, and Z and I missed a step and I don't know what to do. What do I do now? We take those calls as well, too. So.
Excellent. So, ladies and gentlemen, are there any audience members that have a particular question for Alejandra?
Whoa, all together now.
I was wondering what part of New York you went to school. Where are you from?
I'm from Brooklyn, Avenue L.
Okay.
The audience.
Canarsie.
The audience member asked her what part of New York she's from. Brooklyn. Yes, sir.
Do you cater more formal functions?
I certainly will. Wherever you are and you need me to be, I will be there. As long as the check works.
Do you cater more formal functions?
Absolutely. Whatever you need, whatever type of cuisine we talk to you about it. Like I said, everything is specifically for you, the client. There is no set list where, it's only this and this only. If you say to me, I want A, Y, A, B, C, even if I don't know how to do it, I will tell you, I will go figure it out, and it will be good. There is no two words about that.
One last question, sir.
No, just to say, you might have said it and I missed it, but I didn't find on Facebook with Thai Kitchen, only with The Thai Kitchen.
The Thai Kitchen, yes, sir. The Thai Kitchen.
Ladies and gentlemen, The Thai Kitchen. I believe that she still has some tasty bites available. I would advise you to check them out. The THE Thai, TIE Kitchen. Ladies and gentlemen, Alejandra Richards.
Oh, and my cookbook's on sale as well.
I'm sorry?
The cookbook's on sale as well.
And she asks me to remind you that, of course, the cookbooks are on sale, I assume, through the website or through, right here as well. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to continue to discover more about Mr. Turner's artwork, more about the professionals that are in attendance today, and we're going to continue until about the 6:30 hour, so bear with us and hopefully continue to enjoy the Arts Center, and have fun. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, or actually good afternoon, and we are ready to continue in our illumination of Mr. Herschell Turner's collection here at the Sedona Arts Academy. We've heard from a couple of really lovely guests prior, Mr. Larry Harper, a longtime friend of Mr. Herschell Turner's, also Alejandra Richards of Thai Kitchen, and we continue with Miss Karen Loomis. Karen is No Moss Brands and has the synchronicity or the connection to today's event that she is the curator of all of the art through the Turner estate or through Mr. Turner via the help of Mr. Harper, as I understand it.
All because
Correct?
of Mr. Harper.
Due to Mr. Harper. There you are. And so, interestingly, though, as we were speaking earlier, and I was coming up to speed about the collection of Mr. Turner, you were telling me about the significance of and the rarity of this collection, not only in its range, but in its construct. Could you tell me a little bit more about that and maybe tell us what or how it was that you became really associated with Mr. Turner and his artwork? And by the way, thank you for being here, and thank you for allowing us to interview you for this event.
Thank you for being here. And thank Larry. We have a lot of people to thank actually for this. But I especially thank Larry Harper, who has been my client for the last, 5 years probably, Larry. And so Larry came to me last year, sometime November, with Herschell Turner's website that needed to be built. And so that is where I became very familiar with the artwork, is as a result of building the website. So I've spent the last year literally loving his work online. And so Camilla and I have done quite a bit of work from a perspective of social change, and we were talking about Black History Month and talking about how can we as nonprofits partner up, which is always a way to give a big bang to things. And so that's how we ended up here, and that's how I ended up as the art curator, which is a title that I've never had before. Primarily because I've never had this opportunity. I'm one of those people who looks for opportunities, and this opportunity to display Herschell Turner's artwork and to continue his legacy. That's really important to both Camilla and I.
So No Moss Brands is a marketing firm?
Yes. Yeah, marketing and branding firm.
Digital,
Yeah, Yep.
All aspects of marketing.
Yeah, so I started marketing as my second career. So I'm 20 plus years into this second career, and where I'm at with this career is making the decision to choose who my clients are going to be, choose the types of work that I'm going to participate in. And so that's why this Herschell Turner art exhibit and show has been very important to me, because it's a chance for me to deliver back to the community, the African American community, and try to help, lift up the community and give the community the notoriety that really often we don't get.
So it sounds as though Mr. Turner's collection is offering you a little bit of, or a lot of exceptionality in your work, in that your clients are different brands than artists.
He's my first artist. Yeah. So I mean, it's a pretty bad artist to have first, right? I mean, like, if you're gonna have to go down the path that you've never gone down before, at least fall in love with what you're gonna do. And that's really what's been very important to me for marketing, is to really want to do good by it, and not just to make people wealthier, right? Because marketing you often think of as building a business, but in this case, this is not about revenue. This is about how can we expose Herschell Turner's artwork to more people, and that's the bottom line. It's that simple.
Absolutely, and absolutely. Mm-hmm. And so as having this as your first client, and then seeing the images come through to you in some way, can you talk to us about the emotion, or if it, because I think that we spoke a bit earlier, and you were saying that a part of your reaction to having received the images, you were kind of struck about the emotionality that you experienced when even before understanding, the exact technical components.
Right. Yeah, so it's interesting. So I spent the last year with just Larry and I knowing about Herschell Turner. And so when we decided that we were going to move forward with the exhibit, then that gave me the chance to have a few people near me enjoy his work and the emotion involved. And so what I discovered is, after living with his work digitally for the last year, it's nothing like seeing it in print. And when I went to the framer, we were using Framing Works out of Phoenix, Arizona, who I've worked with before from a marketing perspective back in my corporate career. He managed to do a fantastic job stretching and framing this canvas to be ready for this show. And so when I was down there, he pulled back a few of the pieces that they had already had done, and it was the first time I'd seen Herschell Turner's work in flesh and blood versus off screen. And I just was kind of taken back by the level of emotion that the pieces bring out of you. Like, what I've discovered is the more and more people that I expose his art to, there's always that one piece that speaks to you. Hopefully there's more than one piece, but there's always that one piece that kind of follows you around. I'm up to 3 right now, by the way. So there's always that one piece that speaks to you. Just can't stop thinking about it, talking about it, looking at it. And I'm sure that you guys have all had that same kind of experience where you're just kind of taken back with the detail. We talked about the fact that Herschell calls himself a cover photo artist, so he'll take a photo and duplicate it as though it was almost the photo itself. So you look at like the Obama or Martin Luther King, which are the photos that we're all used to seeing, but when you see them from an artist's perspective, from the talent, from his ability to precisely replicate these photos, it's remarkable. And I don't know about you guys, but I consider myself a technical artist, so I'm great on, in the online world. But to do this, what we're seeing here, I can't. And so I'm just dumbfounded by the talent of Herschell Turner.
And then, so can you talk to us about the process of onboarding these images, and if there was maybe a particular lean in or some particular attention to detail that that Mr. Turner directed you to in providing your services to him?
Well, the beauty of this, I'm going to say this because this is the truth. The beauty of this scenario is that I only have really two bosses, Larry and Herschell. And Herschell goes through Larry. Oh, wait, I should say third. I should add Julia, shouldn't I? The wife, right, Julia Turner. And so...
Happy wife, happy artist.
Right? And so I want to really make sure that what we are doing, that they're proud of, and that they themselves can look back at Herschel's life and say it wasn't a life that, that is lost. It's going to be a life that's going to continue to live even long after Herschell Turner. And, and that's one of the things that I can't help but think about is somebody who has this level of creativity in them, what would it be like to lose that ability to express yourself in this way? And so if you'll notice on the video, the tribute video, he had mentioned, that was one of the questions that we asked him was, how are you able to express yourself with, with all, even with your blindness? And he admitted that, attitudinally, is that a word? Attitudinally, that is an issue, that he's not able to do the creative expression that he's done for his whole life. And so that in itself is kind of sad, to think about not being able to continue to express this and not to be able to finish the many paintings that he has. He had mentioned to Larry and I that one of the things that he does is, many of us read multiple books at a time. Many artists will paint many different pieces at one time. And so it just makes me sad to think that there are some pieces in his house that are not going to ever be finished. And truthfully, that legacy is what we need to keep pushing forward to make sure that it doesn't die.
So this is the context, right? This is the context that we were talking about with Mr. Harper, is because you have so many facets that are of exceptionality that have an intersection through Mr. Turner, and then how poignant. I mean, one would think, I was speaking with Mr. Harper as well, that it's an interesting thing that the topics that he was trying to convey through his life arc. I mean, as he was one of the rare African-American players on the Nebraska university team, and then coming through this arc of civil rights, choosing these iconic people that spoke to him in his own life process. How that's why I was trying to ask earlier, how's it been, or was there some directive from Mr. Harper to focus on a particular part of his collection, the athlete, the artist, the advocate? Was there a particular part that he had some urgency to have presented to the public, or is it just the breadth of his work?
There was no real directive on what to do. I had to make some of these decisions, and truthfully, of the images that he has digitized, I used all but 3. And the reason I didn't use the others is just because they were small, right? And so I really wanted people to see his voice, his creativity as large a size as possible. And so, what we did learn, Larry and I, is that there are a number of pieces, perhaps as many as that are on the wall today, in his basement that we haven't digitized yet.
I was curious about that. And how
we're going after it, buddy.
That's preserved, right? So
Yeah.
Talk me through the process. I like this print, like Mr. Harper said. He had a commission from Mr. Turner, but he also was gifted a piece from Mr. Turner.
What a gift.
So right there you are. So walk me through, I purchased a piece of art today, but I also would like to purchase maybe another piece of art, and if I could, an original piece of art. Is that a possibility? And are there, just walk me through the process of art acquisition.
Yeah.
If I wanted to say in a different size or something that's not represented in the collection that we see here. Is that a possibility?
So I'll deal with the original print aspect. So these are not originals, these are digitized of the original. And this is a business model choice, right? I mean, so we have to kind of think about the fact that he's got an estate, and we want to continue to be able to, for him to, his estate to benefit from this over time. So if we sold originals, it meant that only one person would get Clapton, ever. And that seems wrong to me. It seems like art is meant to be appreciated by many, not just one. Now that has nothing to do with me as far as their decision. They had already made the decision long before it got to me that they were going to put these prints, these digitized prints on the internet. So that was a decision that the family had made long before. I just kind of kicked it into gear a tad. And so, so when Larry came to me to rebuild the website that they had originally had, I don't know how to do anything other than turn it into a true business. So relative to if somebody wants to buy or purchase, these come in various sizes. So one of the reasons, one of the things I had to do was decide what sizes do I bring into this show.
Exhibit, yeah.
And so, you know, as a curator, you know, it's hard for me to say, how do you choose? But how do you choose your favorite dog, your favorite child, your favorite, right? I mean, it's kind of the same thing. So what I wanted to do was to make sure we had the impact with the best historical images that we have. So I made some decisions as far as that. But truthfully, there's no way to not list all of Herschell Turner's art because it's so impressive. And there's, like I said, there's so many pieces from when I started to research him that aren't even in my possession yet. So there's a lot of work out there of Herschell Turner, and it's sad to think that sometimes it has to be late in your life before you receive that notoriety for what is your biggest talent,
posthumously.
Right? And so let's try to help Herschell Turner and his estate, you know, that recognition, whether that means that you're sharing his work online or you're talking about it, but just always remember that, you know, there's not a lot of African-American artists, much less there's no African-American artist like Herschell Turner. You'll never find another artist like this in your lifetime.
So as far as we know right now, this is actually the range of the complete works that are available to date.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Right. And then the exceptionality, just to talk back through it, even to my mind, is that these are rendered in canvas because there are others that might be on paper or like prints, but these are actual. Speak to me about that.
So when I started the project, Herschell had a very specific paper that he wanted to print on, as most artists do. And so we definitely made sure that we used this very specific paper that would really show his art in the best way. But if we're printing on paper for a show, it now means we have to frame everything with glass, right? And so that's probably not the best way for us to show that. And personal preference, I like canvas. So that's why you're getting canvas today versus print in glass, because that just is a personal preference of mine. It feels, to me, it feels much more original that way. But again, everybody has their own personal preference. So one of the things I will say to you that I learned from taking this artwork home And one of the things that we are offering, because we know that COVID exists and COVID is on all of our minds, is we are going to offer private guided tours, both in gallery and virtually. So if there's somebody that might want to see Herschell's work, we will shut down the gallery and offer them a 60-minute tour, so that, and I will go through and talk about each piece and share the knowledge and the things that I've learned about Herschell and his, why he's choosing to paint what he's choosing. So that's a particular option. But the other thing that I learned when I took these prints home, a couple of the prints home, was, this is what I said, and you guys have probably all said the same thing. Oh, I wish it was a little bigger. Or, ooh, if it was just a little smaller, it would fit in the spot really well. So one of the things that we're offering on our high-end premium private tour for those that are the serious art collectors is this try before you buy concept. So what we'll allow you to do is, after the show, with a deposit, take one of the prints home and try it before you buy it. So then that way you can decide, do I need it bigger? Do I need it smaller? Would I rather have it canvas, or would I rather have it printed and matted and framed? And so, that might be something that for a lot of people helps make that decision for you. And so we do have some handouts for that. I will also put that information online for those that are watching online. But, everybody has their own personal favorite, and I'm sure you will too. And, why not have that in your home at the size that you would like?
So, and those are available through the No Moss Brands website, or?
Those will be available. Actually, we'll have you contact me directly, Karen Loomis. So it's Karen@nomossbrands.com, or you can call me, and we'll put the phone number up there as well. And we will customize an order for you. So if you have some very specific needs or wants or desires, contact me. We can set up a online virtual tour or in-gallery tour. We can talk about the piece. We can, you can bring your designer, or the other option is, if you have a pod of 10 people that you guys have kind of COVIDed together to kind of create this bubble, maybe you want to bring them in for a private tour. Or maybe education, school groups. We're also open to schools, small groups for school as well. Because one of the things that we cannot forget about this artwork is the history lessons that are shared.
That was what I was going to contextualize, to say that it's not just iterative, it is historical, and has this breadth of relevance that is unique, certainly to this artist, and the fact that it's quite a poignant story right now in America. Mr. Harper and I were talking about that earlier, to say that these are a commentary, on some of the things that we were talking about in the 60s, now in the 70s, and we didn't think that we would be continuing to talk about them in 2020 or 21, but there you are. So is there any question that might be presented from the audience that I could bring to Mrs. Loomis?
Yeah, I have one. Thank you for presenting all of this. It's amazing artwork.
It is amazing.
I'm astounded by how beautiful it is. Is there a limit to the number of digital copies made, or is it like a lithograph where there's a certain number done, or is it unlimited, or could one order 300 copies of a particular one if you wanted one, or how does that work?
So for those of us at home, or for those of you at home watching online, she's asking about the limited quantity and or the iteration of the number of prints available and how they're being categorized and sold.
So I will tell you this, we haven't sold many. So if you're buying a print today, you're probably buying a print that is one of 5 out there. There's not many of them out there. There just isn't. Herschell Turner, being from Grand Rapids, has done most of his exhibits in that area. So, that's been one of the key things about bringing Herschell Turner's artwork to this Phoenix, Sedona market area, is to get that exposure, that greater exposure. But truthfully, I'm not putting a massive marketing advertising plan behind to where we become, like, let's put Herschell Turner in every hotel there is. Nah, that's not really going to be our thing. But if there was, I think that Herschell Turner's artwork really appeals to those that have a real honest respect for history and an appreciation for history.
So, and the other thing that Mr. Harper contextualized earlier on is that Mr. Turner originally was a commissioned artist. So there are a number of original pieces that exist in the world. They're just
somewhere.
Right. With his peers in the entertainment and the sports industry. However, this is significant because of Mrs. Loomis and Mr. Harper. We're now able to have access to these originals that he's kind of kept as, even I think that, what is the statistic that Picasso sold 500 pieces to the world and hoarded 5,000, before he gave up to his heirs the right to be able to monetize the collection. So there's a bit of that I hear, but that speaks to the exceptionality. And then this, from what I'm understanding, Karen, is exceptional because of its being rendered in canvas. Before, except for a commissioned piece, they're all posters, lithos on paper.
Yes. I would say the other thing that you have to consider about a Herschell Turner is, I think that, and I don't know this for a fact, but I think he painted the things that he felt like we needed to learn, the lessons that we needed to learn in life. And one of the commentaries that, one of the questions that we asked him is, who would you have liked to have painted that you couldn't, that you didn't? And he mentioned Eric Dyson, and I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with Eric Dyson out of Vanderbilt, but he's worth looking up. But his comment was, and you have to listen very carefully to understand what he's saying. He said, I think our youth needs to see him in portrait. Because when you see things in portrait, you're allowed to render your own discoveries and explorations in the things you see and on your own life lessons. But when you read things in words, the words are the words, right? So that's what's really phenomenal about, I think, Herschell Turner, is that not only did he paint these historical images and legends and icons, these people at the top, and not only at the top, but maybe might have fallen a tad, right? He still painted them, and I think that what he really wanted us to understand is how unique and how varied, and all of us have some good and bad in us. And all of us have that chance to be successful and the chance to fail. And so if you look at all of this, there's so much inspiration for people in their lives. And I want that to be the thing that we take away. Not only the fact that as Herschell Turner, who was born in the late 30s, walked his life very parallel with the MLKs of the world and those types of activists, but he also did his own work too in Grand Rapids to try to help us move forward. And so the conversation often is, have we come forward from the 40s, the 50s, and the 60s? Have we progressed? And my usual answer is, before you're even done, is no. But maybe, somebody like our Herschell Turner, we asked him that question, and he kind of had the same response too, that we haven't come as far. And that's got to be a great disappointment, to think that in 80 years of your life, you would hope that humanity would be less oppressive and more supportive of the African Americans. And that's the sadness.
Well, it's a poignant visual commentary, especially at the moment that we're in with the intersectionality of culture and society. So I thank you so much, Karen. How much longer is the exhibit going to be here? And talk to us about that.
So today's opening day, and so we will go till February 14th. And February 14th, obviously, is Valentine's Day. But the significance of this show is that we're doing it within a show. So we're combining it with Camilla's B. Luther Hatchee show that's coming up here. Opening night is February 5th. And so she has 6 shows, 6 performances, and that's why you see the artwork up here, because it will be part of her stage and part of her performance. So if you can buy tickets to join us for the opening night of that, but the show will be February 5th, 6th, and 7th, and again, the following weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And Alejandra will also be here providing vittles. Yeah, right? So on opening night, we will be doing Taste of the Islands in advance of the start of the play. And then on the last night of the play, which is Valentine's Day, she will be providing some of her yummy baked goods. They're so good.
So as an entry to Black History Month and as a continuation of the exhibit here, you've been a marvelous person to interview, and thank you for curating the Herschell Turner exhibit and bringing it here to us at the Sedona Art Center. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, we're back, and in our continuing event tonight, we have the Emerson Theater Collaborative. I knew I would get that out sooner or later. So tell us how you're related to the Sedona Arts Academy, and what is the gist of your company?
It's to provide all kinds of art, but for us as actors, theater for the community, which there's really not a lot here. So the more that we can have, I think there's definitely an audience for it. There's a lot of people here who love theater, who are from big cities, New York, Chicago. So we're here to fill a need.
So I'll reverse that. I'll say, start with your name.
My name is Lawrence Cohen.
There we are. And so, Lawrence, you're a native from Sedona, or?
No, I've been here about 10 years. I'm originally from Denver.
Excellent, excellent. And then how was it that you became involved with the Emerson Theater Collective? Collaborative. See, I was just testing you all to see if you remember. Emerson Theater Collaborative.
You audition for shows, and if you get it, good for you.
Screen Actors Guild member, your first play, your first...
No, I've been performing for about 30 years. I'm not a SAG member, but a non-equity actor.
Okay, okay. And so, and then tell us about the production that's coming up, and what role are you going to play in it?
I play Sean Leonard.
Okay, and Sean Leonard is what kind of character?
Well, I don't know how much I want to give away.
Okay. Pique our interest.
Sean Leonard, it'll be a surprise. There's a lot of not what you think it is in this show. Boy, like I said, I don't want to give too much away.
All right.
I can say a little bit about the play is about a 72-year-old black woman who has an autobiography that becomes a bestseller.
Oh, so I know that that's not you. Okay. You're not going to play the 70-year-old black woman, right?
No, of course not.
See, I thought you were going to give us a way. He could. Hey, it's a modern time these days. You know.
It's acting.
He could be an amazing shapeshifter.
There you go.
There you are.
And her publicist has an interaction with all the different people who are involved. That's all I'm going to say.
Amazing. Thank you so much. She's the first of our interviews tonight. If I could ask you to just step down this way, and I have you to come forward. Tell us your name, please.
Audrey Young.
And your tack in the play and a relationship to the collective.
So I've been working with Emerson Theater Collaborative for 5 years now. Camilla came and saw me in The Graduate when I did it in Flagstaff and asked me to come down and start helping out, and I've been helping out ever since, and it's always been a great time. In this show, I play Anna, who is Shalita's friend, as well as Sister Margaret.
And so this is your first play?
No, definitely not. I grew up in Tucson, and I started doing theater there with Arizona Theater Company, as well as the U of A. And then I came to Flagstaff and went to school there, did a lot of theater there, and then from there I've been working with Flagstaff Shakespeare Festival, as well as ETC.
And now you're a resident in Sedona?
I actually live in Rimrock, so I'm a little bit between Sedona and Cottonwood.
Right, an artist on the move.
Yep, always moving.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Just going into it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, my name's James Yaw. I'm actually from Phoenix. And not originally. I was originally from upstate New York a long time ago. My connection with the collaborative is about 3 years ago, was it? We did Alabama Story?
2018.
Yeah, so about 3 years ago, I had auditioned for a role in Alabama Story, which is another production that Emerson had done up here, and was honored to get that role. And when this particular opportunity came up, Camilla called me, and she's like, "Hey, I've got something in mind for you. Are you busy in February?" And you learn never to say no to Camilla. So I am thrilled to be part of this cast. I get the opportunity to play a character in the past. So I kind of am the point-counterpoint sort of situation where I'm the origin of a lot of the story. So it's a fascinating script, exceptionally well written, and exceedingly well performed by the rest of these folks.
Quick question. What would you say is one of the harder things for your particular skills in relationship to the play? Is it a harder role for you to play? Was there something out of your range of comfort?
It's a challenge in that you learn very quickly there's no such thing as a small role, only small actors. But this is a smaller part. It's like fewer lines necessarily in the play, but there's so much meat to who this guy is. So you've got to be able to dig really, really deep and find a way to communicate who this person is to the audience in a very short period of time. And that's a challenge. My background is mostly in film. And in film, you get multiple takes.
Right,
if you didn't get it right, you got a couple different takes you can do it in. In this case, you've got to hit it. It's one shot, one kill. You've got to get it that one take. That's all you get, is that one opportunity to communicate to the audience who this person is.
Live theater does have its challenges.
It is amazing. It is such a mental exercise to do live theater.
You also get the great feedback from the audience
Absolutely.
If you're doing wonderfully, yes. But if you call the collaborative the collective, you know that real quick too,
yeah.
right?
I cut my teeth doing stand-up comedy in the 80s.
There you go.
That's, immediate feedback. So
thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Thank you so much.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. We're going to be here all night now.
So you're the 70-year-old black lady.
Yes.
Oh, what?
No, I'm sorry.
Somehow I knew that.
Not 70. I'm Raquel McKenzie. I play Shalita Burns. That is the editor and publisher of Libby Price, who is the 72-year-old Black woman who writes the autobiography. So I'm the one that gets to bring it to the world, which is really amazing.
Yes.
This play, and working with a collaborative, sorry, I talk a lot. So I've been doing theater for a very long time. I met Camilla because I worked with Flagstaff Shakespeare Company, and they had saw me in the show and invited me to do a show actually with Audrey last year called Stop Kiss. And yes, it was great. And she sent me another email last year and was like, I got another show. And I was like, all right, I'm coming.
Yeah.
So here I am. And this show, it's very, well, it's for me, line heavy, but that's not the point. The point is that there's a duality to it that makes you question your own beliefs and your own idea of what's right and what's wrong. It very much is mirrored in today's society. It questions you of what do you hold true? Is it in your integrity? Is it saving face? It questions, do I have racist undertones? What begets a racist, and what does that actually mean? And even if you think, this title of wokeness, how woke are you? Because some people are woke and they're still taking naps during the day. And it will show that to you. And no person is 100% righteous or right in this show. Even me, I don't think no one is 100% right. There's trauma that hasn't been addressed in the show, and that in turn perpetuates what you do in your life. And I think that speaks so much to the human condition, that our own upbringing, our own trauma, our own view of the world will dictate what we do. And even though we think we are making the correct decision, it might not be correct because we can only see through our lens. The show is amazing. Be Luther Hatchee. So.
All right, you do have to have a wider perspective. Thank you. Thank you so much. The Emerson Theater Collaborative, ladies and gentlemen. And it runs from?
So we open on the 5th of February, so the 5th, 6th, and 7th. That is 7 p.m. on the 5th and 6th, 2 p.m. on the 7th, and then the 12th and 13th will be at 7 p.m. and 2 p.m. on the 14th. Right here.
Bravo, bravo. Thank you once again, ladies and gentlemen. A round of applause for the Emerson Theater Collaborative. Thank you. So ladies and gentlemen, as we're starting to wrap up this evening, we've got a couple of more interviews. I would like to have you give a round of applause to the young man who's been giving us wonderful music and beautiful offerings this entire evening.
Thank you.
This is Solomon Morris.
Yeah, thank you.
I have to find out just a little bit more about you, Mr. Morris, in a moment. But right now, here on stage, we have Miss Camilla Ross. And as And it's so interesting. She is the chairman of the Sedona Arts Academy, among many other things, as we're well seeing. So I met Camilla on the phone, and we have done some arts things together here. But I hadn't met her in person until just a couple of days ago. So I was really thrilled and stuff, but I was also curious when she asked me to come and fulfill this role as a host / MC, what was the impetus behind you coming into creating the Sedona Arts Academy?
You know, in Sedona, there's not a lot of space, and I live in the village, and I love the village. But we in the village needed a place to congregate, and I needed a place to do theater, to do the things that I wanted to do, and shows that, you know, maybe controversial, things of that sort, but I needed a place. And so I got the privilege to talk with Thomas McPherson, and it is because of him and that we're able to be in this space. And so I really want to give kudos to Thomas and Joanna McPherson. Because of the generous donation that they have given us, we were able to outfit this place just the way it is. So thank you, Thomas and Joanna McPherson.
Thank you. Thank
I am deeply appreciative of them because they're really community people, and we really need a lot of community here. So that's what's important, is community.
So your talents and skills are in entrepreneurship? Are they in theater? Talk us through a bit more about the multifaceted Camilla
If everybody
Ross.
knew what I actually did in my life, it would be interesting. So, you know, you grow up and you go to high school and you go to college. Emerson, let me give my shout out to Emersonians everywhere. And so, yes, we have one in the audience. Thanks, Denise. And so you go to college and you go to Emerson and you meet these amazing people and you begin creating. And so most of my, well, we were creating because that's what Emerson gave us. It gave us that skill to be able to create on the fly. That's what you do. And so we did that for a while. I joined the military for a while to pay for college, and you know, you do those things. And so I ended up one day teaching. So that's my other career. I teach accounting and finance for Three Rivers Community College on the other half of my brain. And so
Wow.
I'm grateful to be able to do that. But for me, it's theater. Theater is that avenue and that venue where you can just create and you can tell a story and you can tell history, and people will come out and they'll see it and they will take their own thing from it. And that's what I do best, is I create theater for a living.
And so have you been in front of the camera as an actress as well on stage?
Gosh, yeah, 40 years worth of stuff. And so for me, my latest role is a one-woman show called Harriet Tubman's Dream. I play Harriet Tubman. It's written by Lisa Giordano. She's an amazing playwright, and she's our resident playwright at Emerson Theater Collaborative. I've known her now for almost 14 years, 15 years now.
So we're going to see Harriet come to life on stage sometime this spring.
Well, no, Harriet came to life in 2017. So I did her at the Mary Fisher for the League of Women Voters.
Oh, wow, okay.
For a half a minute. And, you know, and previous to that, I did it with the Simsbury Chorale. We took it to another level. And so we call it Harriet Squared, because it's Harriet Tubman and Harriet Beecher Stowe. And we combined those two shows together. And instead of me singing the tunes in which Harriet sang, we had a choir sing those pieces that I would sing. And so I would freeze, and they would sing, and then I would begin when they're done. And so you can imagine what that's like. An
amazing juxtaposition, an amazing theatrical juxtaposition.
Absolutely, and so that is what I do.
And then to just bring it full circle to this evening, to Mr. Turner's work, I understand that you and Mr. Harper, and then of course Denise, had a bit of conversation, and then poof, we have the Herschell Turner collection.
Karen Loomis is my creative partner in this. Denise is my assistant director for B. Luther, but Karen and I got together and she said, hey, I got this amazing exhibit that I want to bring to Sedona. I'm like, okay, well, what is it? And we started having this conversation. I'm like, oh my gosh, this needs to be in Sedona. Sedona needs to see this amazing piece of art. It's extraordinary.
And then when you saw the images that came in when Karen was delivering them, was there a particular piece, or talk to us about your resonance with the collection?
When we started taking these pieces out and putting them on the wall, I mean, I physically got emotional because when I saw Devil Angel, I consider that to be me anyway. She's just me and a little kid. If you knew who I was when I was a child, that would be it. You know, she's right there. It's such an amazing piece, but you look at the civil rights pieces, and I choked up because I looked at all that history and the things that our people have gone through, and here's this amazing artist that's depicting them in live and up front and personal, and you can't help but get emotional when you see it. It's just extraordinary art, and that's really, it's to honor him.
So with the Sedona Arts Academy, and we see that this collection's here, we see that you're having theatrical production. Can we know a bit more about the mindset that you have for the short-term future of offerings in the space here?
Yeah, I mean, we hope to offer theater, which is what we do. We hope to offer the art that's on the walls for the community to come and explore. There's meetings here. Russ does the conservatory, music and opera. We have Andrea who sings. Winnie Munch does the Sedona Chamber Ballet. They're all partners here. And so we share in community, and we share in space, and we create in space. So it's real important that the community come out and support what we're doing here in the community, because this is what we realize that the community needs.
So is there, is there a portal by which our viewers online and at home can go to source? Is it the Sedona Arts Academy portal?
Yes, they can go to the SedonaArtsAcademy.org and see what's happening during the week. We have classes here, we have paint and art, there's meditation here, we have theater here, we have the gallery, so they can come in and they can see all that we have to offer. We got a foosball table in here, that's the best. I mean, come on.
So artists can come in and utilize it, for, say, for example, for dance instruction.
Yes.
So it's also a rentable space.
Yes, they can rent the space. I mean, it's a community center. And so we have a piano here. They can come in, they can play the piano, they can play whatever. Just come and use the space, enjoy the space. It's economical, it's for everyone to use in the community. And we want people to come out and use it.
And is there a specific petition that you might make to the general public with regard to funding or help with the financial part of perpetuating the center?
Absolutely. We welcome the community to come and donate. We have Gigi Rock Productions. She does all of our events here at the Collective and for the Sedona Arts Academy. She is here tonight, so if you want to do an event, you can do that. You can do a fundraiser for us. That would be wonderful. You can contact Gigi for that because she's really great at that. We've got some great stuff happening. We've got some great shows coming, but fundraising is key. We would love to have the community come out and support what we do, so donations are welcome.
So you're a formal 501c3 construct
we have
as well?
applied, absolutely. We have applied, and we're waiting for them to do their thing. But as of right now, you can still donate, and they'll honor that.
So support, right?
Absolutely.
Support the Academy.
Yes.
So are there questions for Camilla from the audience?
That's a good thing.
Fair enough. Yes.
Just a sincere thank you, Camilla.
Thank you. Thank you, Larry.
For those at home,
Thank you.
Mr. Harper was nice enough to give a sincere thank you from him.
Thank you so much.
For doing everything that she does in the community. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, please, a round of applause for our chairman, Ms. Camilla Ross.
Thanks for coming.
So I think that's the wrap up of our interview. I also wanted to check in with the young man who's back there in the back, sir. Yes, if you could come up and share with us for just a moment.
This guy is so awesome. You know, Steve Bailey, he does my Wine 101. We got a Wine 101 class that we do here at the Sedona Arts Academy.
It's sort of like wine tastings?
Yeah, wine. He is the wine man.
I need to know about that
For
stat.
real. Come on, Steve. Come on up here. Because we get our wine 101 on.
I'll let you.
No, you're going to do this. Let me get up from here. 'Cause you got this. Come on. Come on. You got this. You know I love you. Let me get my glass. You know I love you.
Stage dance.
Oh, yeah, for real.
Thank you again, Camilla.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I don't need to be that. Thank you.
Mr. Bailey.
Yes.
So I think that there were only 2 wines.
2 wines this evening.
But you are apparently a purveyor of many other distilled spirits from many lands.
About 30 plus years in the industry, so I feel a well-rounded career within it, and the culinary side of things has been an experience that I've enjoyed in my life, and to bring those together and pass on those experiences that I've had and have learned is something that I really enjoy doing.
A former retail space in Sedona, Cottonwood?
No, I was primarily on the supplier side for many years, worked in a number of resorts within Arizona, have established a number of retail outlets, more on the consulting side these days at this point.
Excellent. And so I'm understanding, since we're basically new, I've got a long history with Sedona, but we're new to the area, that there are a number of great wineries, and there's a region that's starting. There's a whole movement going on in the Verde Valley and over in Cottonwood as well.
Correct. We have in Arizona have had an industry since the late 1700s.
Okay.
Father Kino, who built the San Javier del Bac south of Tucson, was actually one of the first ones that brought vinifera grapes to the area. And within the last 15, 17 years, the industry has really started to take off with some public acceptance from some celebrity folks that are involved in the industry locally. But the market point of the industry locally is in the Page Springs area. Currently, there's about 26 wine tasting rooms in the Verde Valley, yes. In the state of Arizona, in excess of 100 wineries now exist. And we are very blessed, much like having this facility in our region, to have the Yavapai Community College in Cottonwood and the Camp Verde Jerome area. And they have the Southwest Wine Center, which is a 2-year program that allows young men and women, it allows men and women, not all are young that are involved in the program, but they learn the whole bottling process, production process, from vine to cork. And we are able to establish a community of young entrepreneurial individuals that are excited to get into the industry, and then to have adult, mature, career-focused individuals who have been in other careers because of a hobbyist type of an attitude also involved in the program. So suddenly, instead of those people going to the community college to pick up a 2-year degree, say in nursing, we're suddenly providing them with a sustainable opportunity in the wine industry: marketing, bottling, production, lab work, winemaking, vineyard management, a number of different focuses.
And I'm understanding that there's a lot more cooperation now between the wineries specifically. And I don't know that there's an actual formal association, but I'm understanding that there's a lot more talk about crop rotation, which crops are resonating, water use, etc.
Correct. One of the things that the community college established the wine program on was sustainability. And one of the things that the wine industry brings to agriculture is sustainability. Less water use for individual vines, tighter spacing for vines to utilize the property in a more more effective and efficient manner. We are very blessed with climatic conditions that are strong and conducive to what we're doing. And now the rest of the wine community and the culinary community are actually taking focus and accepting of what we have in our region here.
Are there particular varietals that are resonating and are thriving here, that are causing a bit of exceptionality and international notice?
Very good question. You know, for many hundreds of years, regions like Bordeaux or in France or the wine-growing regions of Italy, they've all had those countless eons to sort where certain grapes, Sangiovese for Chianti, grows best in a certain region. Cabernet grows very well in the Bordeaux region. We're still sorting through that based on our soil types, customer askings. We are also finding that the experimentation of growing different varietals is something that we have to look at crop yields. We also have to look at how long it takes for the production of some of those wines. And we're blessed. We're now receiving folks into the area not only because of the college, but because the industry waking up. And, you know, we get folks like Chef Alejandra here who puts out great food, and then she's accepting of the wines and pairing with the local stuff. So Camilla has been very welcoming to me and the opportunity to present some of my experience and helpfulness to individuals. Maybe you should enjoy another opportunity with a Wine 101 class. We're planning on one, I believe it's February 23rd, where we'll do wines, and we'll probably do a little tagline and call it something like the Pacific Wine Zone. Right. So we feature wines from the Pacific Coast, Oregon, Washington, Idaho, California. Subsequent classes could also be pairing with chefs' fine cuisine, or how to put the Arizona wines into play for your home enjoyment.
Which is excellent. So you are predominantly, we would have to contact you, Steve, through your personal contact information, but what you're doing is essentially curating marketing and education opportunities for so you represent wines from this region, or you represent wines from a number of regions?
I am encompassing of many.
So you have historic relationships with many different brands.
Correct. I have certifications. I'm a certified sommelier with the Court of Master Somms out of London. I'm a level 3 certification. Thank you. Level 3 certification with the Wine and Spirits Education Trust, which is also based in the UK. At a level 3, there were, the last time I checked, 27 of us in the state of Arizona. I also have an Italian wine specialist certification. And the best part is I'm a School of Hard Knocks wine guy. Wine for me growing up in the Midwest was grandmother taking out the bottle of Mogan David for Easter or Thanksgiving and sharing with everyone at the table, and the rest of the bottle going back onto the shelf until that next holiday.
So it's from the enthusiasm that you're expressing, it sounds as though even if I was just an individual saying, I'm having a family gathering, could I ask you, and I would like to cook a lamb shank or whatever you will, could I call you and say, what would be a 2 or 3, because there's the idea that the appetizer deserves its own flavor, and the entree deserves its own flavor, so that there are pairings that are synonymous throughout the meal. So that's something that's not above your or beyond your interest point.
Oh, not at all.
Right
not
now.
at all. up until about a year and a half ago, I was nearly 100 pounds heavier.
Oh, wow.
Had a little medical condition that was taken care of, but because of my enthusiasm and enjoyment of food, wine carried right into it. And it's important to a lot of people to understand or have a better enjoyment of what they put into their bodies. And the wine is an important factor. As in Europe, wine is part of a meal. It's not the sacred thing that comes to the table for dinner. It's part of the dinner. My moniker for my name, my name's Steve Bailey. I go by the Mayor of Wine. And that was a little thing that was given to me in my resort days, where a writer came to visit, and as she commented about my experience on the dining room floor, she called me the unofficial Mayor of Wine. And I had a radio show in Phoenix for a couple of years where we talked wines and dinners and cocktails and where to go, what to do. And we had a call in, and they voted me as the Mayor of Wine. And I've held that moniker now for 25 plus years.
Sounds like it's well deserved.
Well, thank you very much. If I can say one thing also real quick, I was listening to your previous interviews, and one of the things that I noted in particular about Mr. Turner's work is the emotional depth of everything that's hanging in here. And regardless of opinions or experiences in the world, each one of those pieces of art that we're surrounded by right now have no boundaries. And the emotion that, as Camilla mentioned when the art arrived here, the emotion that's expressed in the artwork is exceptional. And for all of you that have the opportunity to come and visit this display, please do soon, because it is well worth it.
Bravo. So you're Mr. Steve Bailey.
Correct.
The Mayor of Wine.
Right.
At Mayor.
It's okay. So my email address is mayo, like the condiment, mayorow, MAYOROW, at hotmail.com. And Mayo Row is kind of a condensed version of Mayor of Wine.
Right. I got that after I was reading it.
So if you don't recall any of that, Camilla is certainly, I'm sure, willing to put you in touch with me for any of that particular. Again, February 23rd, if you'd like to experience a little bit more about wine on a very common, easy to understand basis, that's what I'm here for.
Mr. Bailey, you are the Mayor of Wine, and you have my vote.
Well, thank you, sir. It's a pleasure. Yeah.
Steve Bailey.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Corey Steiner, and I have the pleasure of representing the new owners of the Collective Sedona. We want to thank everyone for coming out to view the Herschell Turner exhibit, and most especially for supporting the Sedona Arts Academy. Our vision for the Collective Sedona is to foster a place that is welcoming to all, serves the community, and is representative of the art, culture, and beauty that attracts so many to the area. We look forward to many years of partnership with the greater Sedona community and are delighted to be a small part of this idyllic place.
Sedona UAS, aerial cinematography, interviews, events, training videos, promotional videos, and live streaming services.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is our Mr. Solomon Morris, a musician. You've been hearing some of his wonderful music throughout the evening, right? And so I did speak with you earlier, Mr. Morris, and you told me that music wasn't your first go-to, that you haven't come to this moment through a number of musical iterations, that this is a sort of later iteration for you.
Yes, I studied guitar when I was younger. Then at the age of about 24, I put the guitar down for 30 years. And became a school teacher and that sort of thing. So
And so you're teaching here in the Valley?
No, all I do is play the guitar now.
Okay, so now it's your full life pursuit.
Yeah, after, quite a long hiatus.
And so you have a penchant for acoustic guitar, electric guitar?
Electric guitar. As a matter of fact, can I say one thing?
Of course.
Because I don't want to keep everybody here. Mr. Turner painted, that picture is of West Montgomery, right there. Yeah. West Montgomery saved my life. I wanted to just, because you can find about me in Kudos. They wrote an article. But that West Montgomery was the, taught me the difference between a technician and an artist. And he elevated guitar artistry to a point that no one else has ever done. And this was one of my, and it carried over into other things. And people who are actors and artists here, you know that there's always this balance between technique and artistry. Am I right about that? Absolutely. Right. So how much technique? Because you have great people who are great technicians, but they haven't really touched you. You say, oh, they were great, but they didn't touch you.
They play the notes well,
right?
But they just don't cause any emotion or feeling.
Exactly. So Wes Montgomery was critical and to my development as a human being. And I find it interesting that Mr. Turner painted that. And so
that he also found inspiration
from West Montgomery, yes, yes.
And so I noticed that the style of music that you've been playing for the evening has been everything from jazz to I would say a little bit of like new age. It seems it's new age. It could be a little classically infused as well. There's some note progressions and chord progressions that have a bit of classical feeling to them. Can you speak to us about how that works?
Well, first of all, I consider myself an ambiance player. In other words, a gig like this, where like I'm not the center of attention, that's the perfect gig for me. Because that's not who I am. I don't want to look at me, look what I can do. It's kind of infantile to me.
But for me, Mr. Solomon, if I could say, that is, it's like, to me, that's even more difficult than the overt kind, because it seems to me, as another artist and a musically inclined person, as a lean-in point and a unique thing that's true to you and your music is what I've experienced tonight.
Yes. But again, being an ambiance player is it fits my personality, because I don't want to be up front. I don't want people to, I'm not a performer. Some people are performers, but I'm not.
So do you have recordings?
I just finished a CD. I have to get it mass produced and, labeled and all of that, so.
But you're available locally in Sedona?
Oh yeah, I live right here. The joke is, that these people see me almost every day.
Okay.
In front of the local supermarket, which is my gig.
Okay.
The local supermarket, because when the COVID came, my gigs in restaurants and other things dried up. And because of the generosity of the people at the store, they allowed me to play there. So these people see me all the time and hear my music all the time.
And so if they wanted to contact you...
they know how to do that.
But in this Kudos article, do you give them an email, a direct line to you?
Well, I usually carry cards with me if anybody needs to get in touch with me. But But I don't want to take any much time. It's very difficult for me to talk about myself.
But we love you. We love you.
No, thank you. And thank you for your good questions and your great interview.
Oh, thank you
very much.
Thank you, Mr. Solomon. Thank you for your wonderful music throughout the evening.
Thank you.
I'm glad that we'll be able to enjoy a bit more of you as time. Now I'm going to seek out which store is this?
The only supermarket in town, Clark's.
Okay, in the VOC.
Right here, yes.
In the VOC. Fair enough. So, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first. It's Solomon at Clark's on a regular basis, right? Excellent. Thank you so much, Mr. Solomon. Thank you so much. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think that I've covered all of the bases for this evening's production. What I might invite you to do is to consider all of the range of the interviewees that we had here tonight and the breadth of what Camilla is articulated is her intention for this space. You are the Sedona community, and so as a result, it's vital that, because I lived here earlier in the 90s, and we had a phrase then that Sedona either A, embraces you, or it processes you, right? And so something needs to be resonant with those people who are tenants of the land here. And so in trying to fulfill a need, there have been a lot of people that I know have come to town that had an agenda. And I found that working with Camilla, her agenda is to provide exactly what she said, opportunity to uplift and a space, a safe space for artisans in Sedona to continue to be able to shine and have an ability to uplift and evolve. So that's what this space is. I would invite you, as little or as much as you can, to go on to the Sedona Arts Academy site and donate what you can. I understand that some of the donations for the alcohol sales are going to the life of the Academy. I'm a fan. I'd also like to say thank you at this point to Jason, our technical man, who's been handling our technicals all evening long. To those people who are watching us online, I would invite you to go to our web presence and you'll be able to review this in its entirety ongoingly, to participate also in some of the various upcoming productions and performances here at the center. So I invite you to do that. And what else have I left out? To all of our sponsors all along the way that made this night happen, I would like to say thank you on behalf. I'm sorry?
Arizona Humanities.
Arizona Humanities.
Thank you.
Thank you so very, very much. I remember Gigi. Gigi, you had the Gigi, I understand, is a part or is the collective.
She is the queen of the collective, and she's the queen of events.
So, Gigi, I want to say thank you so very, very much for being a soldier and being online to Sedona community and providing diversity and entertainment and events. So thank you so much for that. And on behalf of the Sedona Arts Academy, okay, my name is Quentin Jenkins. I've been your host tonight. I hope I've been able to help you, educate you, uplift, and shine a spotlight on our guests. And I'd like to say thank you so very, very much. And with that, I will say good night.